Hi everyone, it's Pamela Lurie, Head of Expedition Operations at Noble Caledonia, and we are continuing with our series of chats about some of the Indian Ocean itineraries. Today we're going to talk about an itinerary called Passage Through the Seychelles. So let me share my screen here. Passage Through the Seychelles is running in February 2022 on the lovely island Skye. And previously we had talked about both Islands of the Indian Ocean and Indian Ocean Odyssey, which are both really similar in a sense and really nice overview snippets of the whole Indian Ocean. If you've never been before, I might start off with an itinerary like one of these. And then last week, we looked at Indian Ocean Stepping Stone, which was a slightly more zoomed in itinerary, focusing more on Madagascar. A really, really special trip there, if you want to watch that video. And now we're going to talk about another more zoomed in type of itinerary, which is Passage Through the Seychelles, which obviously has a Seychelles focus. So this is this Passage Through the Seychelles itinerary. As you can see, we fly into Dar es Salaam. It's great starting in Dar es Salaam because it means you can also do a pre-cruise extension to the Selous Game Reserve. It's one of the top game reserves in Africa. And it's a very high-end resort we stay in. It's a lovely, lovely experience. And that's happening just before the trip. Otherwise, join us in Dar es Salaam and we head on out to 2 days of archaeological historic highlights in Zanzibar and Kilwa before moving over to the Seychelles. And we really have quite a bit of time exploring the Seychelles in depth. And the Seychelles Islands and atolls are just dreamy. So let's take a look. Zanzibar is the first day of the voyage. I would have to say it's one of my favorite places in the world. I think it's just a crazy, crazy, stunning, interesting, fascinating at every turn. You can just spend hours and hours and hours walking around Stone Town. Stone Town is a World Heritage Site. And the whole time you're just getting this strong sense of history, of trading, of maritime trading, of connections throughout Africa, right over to Indonesia and the Middle East. You can just feel the atmosphere of years and years and years of influence and trade and seafarers, the Arabs, the Portuguese, the English. Everyone has been through there at some stage and left their mark. And it's just such a wonderful curiosity the whole morning that you spend in Stone Town. The only thing that stops you from wandering around further is just the heat. So you do need to cover up both from the heat, from the sun, and also with local customs, we try to cover up a little bit as well. In the afternoon at Zanzibar, you can also go on the Spice Tour, which takes you into sort of the inlands of Unguja Island, and also a place where you can see the red colobus monkey on another tour, which is further up into the Unguja Island. Red colobus monkey in this case is the Zanzibar red colobus monkey, so it is endemic. Now, I hope you recognize our dear friend Chantal there, who came in on the Lady of Zanzibar to join us on one of the voyages. And the next day we head to Kilwa. Kilwa is on mainland Tanzania, and it's so poorly known for a place that is absolutely mind-blowing. You feel like you've arrived in the lost city. These ruins are just being overgrown by plants. There's not a lot of people there. There's a small town nearby. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, and you come across these really grand, really impressive ancient ruins. There were civilizations there since the 8th century. For at least 500 years, they were minting coins. One of the biggest cities in Africa during the 13th, 14th, 15th century. And it's just such an interesting place to walk around. And I would be remiss not to mention very, very good for bird life as well. So the local guides are just brilliant at both of these places. And to add these two little spots in Africa, Zanzibar and then Kilwa onto the Seychelles-centric itinerary is such a sort of bonus addition. It's something completely else to what we're going to see for the rest of the voyage. And I suppose because you start that way, it feels so busy, and it's only later you sort of really absorb what you saw and experienced, and you think, wow, that really will sit with you for a long, long time after the trip. So moving on from Kilwa, we get to the Aldebaran group. Now, I mentioned group because, of course, there's Aldebaran Island, which is a highlight for a lot of people. But don't forget, there's Stove, there's Assumption, and there's Cosmolido. And among the other islands, some of them are completely uninhabited. Aldebaran itself, there are ranges. Assumption, there's a base. And all of them have something unique, something spectacular. And in the couple of days that we have to explore these islands, we won't just visit Aldebaran, we'll also hope to visit some of the islands, especially Cosmolido. And the bird colonies and the snorkeling on all of the islands are absolutely spectacular. So one of the highlights we like to do in Aldebaran and Cosmolido is to Zodiac cruise in the channel, and we all time this all around the tides. And Aldebaran as well, we like to snorkel in the incoming tide of those channels of the atolls. And it's one of those experiences you'll just never forget. You just get to ride the tide, riding it in from the outside at sea all the way onto the inside of the lagoon. Conditions don't always allow us to do that. If it's quite rough out at sea, we might not be able to do that. But when we can, we always will try and offer that. And we work our whole day around the tides. When we can get ashore, when we can go to the ranger station, see the giant tortoise and the rail, the local rangers. And of course, we have to buy the coffee shop book and the coffee cup and all those things. And then we try and Zodiac cruise in the flats, go and see the booby colonies, the frigates. You can see turtles all over in the lagoon, and it's absolutely terrific. So these days we're spending so much time in the sun, and you've also got that glare coming off the sand. You want to cover up as much as you can with a nice hat that's got a drawstring so it doesn't blow off. You want to have long sleeve, more technical shirts and shorts that give you a bit of protection from the sun. And on all of these days you can snorkel as well. So you want to have a snorkeling outfit where you're also wearing some sort of shirt or rash vest that covers you up from the sun, which can be quite harsh. And we're in it every day, so you don't want to get burnt early on or heat exhaustion early on and then wipe out the next few days of your trip. Some of these photos now are from specifically Cosmolido. It is just these bird paradise situations where you've just got all these boobies, red-footed boobies, just coming and looking at you like they're seeing people for the first time. It is absolutely spectacular feeling to think these, some of these especially younger birds are definitely seeing humans for the first time when we turn up. So it's really, really a magic couple of days there in the Aldebaran group, working the opportunities that we can on the islands and going according to the tides. Then we move on east to an island or an atoll called Farquhar. Again, we've got some really fantastic snorkeling. There's actually these wonderful channels that just drain out like rivers from the island outwards. If we can snorkel at some of those spots, you're snorkeling through these lovely little channels and things. The reptiles and the bird life ashore is really, really notable. It's one of the biggest colonies of sooty terns, 300,000. There's also brown noddies and black-naped terns, a little colony there. So we'll try and take a trip across the atoll to Gulet, where we can go see some of the bird life. And we also visit a community on the island of Farquhar, which lives off a little bit of tourism, sustenance fishing, fishing as well, and also coconut plantation. We see how they do what they do there. Also the giant trevallies in the lagoon. This really is quite a special place. A couple of years ago, there was a cyclone and we couldn't go to Farquhar itself. It had been more or less flattened, the settlement. And we were going to another island in the Farquhar group called Providence, which was completely uninhabited. And it was equally exciting and spectacular to go somewhere new as well. So just sometimes if conditions preclude us from going to one island, we can always pop over to one of the others and try and make something work. Then we go up to the Amarante Islands, and one of the islands we visit there is Alphonse, which has one of the most beautiful resorts I know of. There it's just so idyllic. You just want to take off your shoes, never put them on again, and just roam around the island for days and days and days. It's all flat again because it's an atoll, so it's easy walking around. You've got the giant tortoises. There's also quite good bird life on the island, and we take some nice little easy walks around the island and wonderful snorkeling in the lagoon. So nice, safe, easy snorkeling inside the lagoon, some shallow stuff, some stuff right off the beach and stuff further out in the lagoon where we set up a Zodiac platform for you to snorkel off as well. So Alphonse is quite a highlight. It's also quite a challenging island because the ship has to anchor on the outside of the atoll. It's a long way to go, sometimes a bit rough. out there before we get in through the channel into the island. But it's really, really, I think, a special place. And Darosh is another one of the Amirante Islands that's quite special. We also are lucky in the way that with Darosh, you can access it from the north or the south, depending on conditions. So there's, even if it's been sort of rough, generally speaking, in the Indian Ocean around that time, you've got a good chance of getting ashore at Darosh. If you recognize old Mike there in the photo on the left, you'll see he's found a little baby turtle, and that was one of the highlights we had a few years ago. We just found all these little baby turtles in the flotsam there right off the beach where we were swimming. It's so hard to spot them, and then once you've got your eye in to see these little turtles, it was just absolutely delightful. Snorkeling there is fantastic. We've seen all kinds of surprise things on these shallow reefs, including manta rays right in the shallows. So really, really a nice day walking around the island again. And these atoll walks are, you can wear your nice wet dry sandals or even flip-flops, because they're pretty easy kind of beach sand-ish walks. Some sections you'll have coral rubble, and so you do want footwear for those sorts of sections, but it's just easy, relaxed walking. We obviously try and find walks with plenty of shade. And yeah, just another fantastic day here in the Amirante Islands. And then we move on to the inner islands of Seychelles, and we go to a reed, which is really quite a special place. It only ranges ashore at a reed, and we sometimes come ashore by their boats. Otherwise, we'll use our own Zodiacs to come ashore. And I think a reed is known for having the most lizards, highest density of lizards on any island, but there's so many fantastic birds here. There's frigates, there's long-tailed tropic birds, white-tailed tropic birds, fairy terns or white terns, sooty terns. It's just absolutely one of those really, really special bird paradise island places. And now we're no longer on an atoll, we're on an actual island, so you can see in the island profile that we can actually do quite a nice hike up to a viewpoint on a reed with the local guides from the rangers are so knowledgeable, so good at what they do, and it's really, really a great morning. We pair this up with one of the other islands, like Curious, which gives us some snorkeling opportunity, also some giant tortoises, and a nice afternoon, a nice easy afternoon on the inner Seychelles. Also, once you're on the inner Seychelles, the water can get more sheltered, so you've got a good chance of getting ashore at a lot of these places, which is of course a bonus. And then to end it off, we're right there on the inner Seychelles, Praslin and Grand Sur. Praslin is another UNESCO World Heritage Site, and this time we go to Valley de Mai to look at the coco de mer, the sea coconut. This is like 30-kilogram coconut, half a meter wide. The photo doesn't really do it justice, but they really, really are quite an amazing coconut that you'll see when we go to Praslin on the Valley de Mai tour. Also, the black parrots is the highlight of that area, and there is, it's quite more touristic now. It's a place where you could easily spend another week or so here at Praslin, or do your own thing and go over to La Digue after the voyage. Also a very, very lovely island. And Grand Sur as well is an island where just a lovely sleepy last afternoon of the voyage, where you can snorkel, just relax on the beach, or go for a walk with one of our naturalists. So there you have it. We've got the cruise that starts from Dar es Salaam. Like I said, you can do a pre-cruise and add something in a big 5-game reserve Salou. And then we've got these 2 sensational hits on mainland Africa before we take a really idyllic, relaxing, dreamy cruise through all of the Seychelles Islands, right from the outer Seychelles through to the inner islands as well. And don't forget about potentially staying for a few extra days in the Seychelles as well, because they really are tourist friendly, DIY friendly, and just beautiful, beautiful area to spend a bit more time. So I hope that is helpful for you. If you are thinking about going on this voyage, please don't forget you can send us any questions, and we will be able to answer those questions for you. Thanks everyone, have a great day.